So today's topic is going to be about just my love and hate for competition. I'm sure you guys can all relate to this feeling where you love to compete, you love playing games, but sometimes you hate it, right? Like when you lose. It's just not a good feeling, and I'm not sure how I want to approach this subject or what I even want to say about it, or necessarily even have any advice for you on how to combat these negative feelings. And I'm not trying to get all philosophical and I guess almost sappy about this shit. I don't know. I just want to figure this out together with you guys, how we can manage these negative, salty feelings that comes with losing. And let's start off by saying the reason I want to talk about this is because I was watching Phil Galfond play poker last night, and I don't know if you know who Phil Galfond is, but he's a professional poker player. He's one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. And I'm watching him play, and there's just this calmness in him. I don't see any frustration, any negativity at all coming out of him. And first of all, I can already tell you right off the bat, this leads to some clear thinking. As soon as you start to get frustrated and angry, you stop thinking on such a I've talked about this all the time, but when you get angry, it lowers your higher brain function. So right off the bat, he's got that's just such a massive edge in poker. If I'm thinking if I'm Phil Galfond and I'm thinking at a high level all the time, never letting not all the time, but I mean, okay, I'm never letting that graph, if I have just a graph, right, and it never dips down occasionally because of a hand that didn't go my way. So for the next few hands off, I'm a little frustrated, and my higher level of brain thinking, scientifically proven, is dipping down at times. If that's never happening, that is just the most massive edge. And I just can't emphasize this enough. So how do we be like Phil? How do I be like Phil Galfond in these situations? Sometimes when I play basketball, I'm able to do this. Poker, not so much, but in basketball, I'm able to sometimes I fucking rage like a fucking savage when people can't stop me, so they just start fucking holding me and shit. I fucking hate that. That's just dirty. But against honest competitors that don't piss me off in basketball, I'm able to stay calm and really Phil Galfond stoicness. Or, who's another example? Kawhi Leonard. I've seen Kawhi Leonard show some emotion before, but I don't think I've ever seen Phil Galfond show some emotion one way or the other. Yeah, I'm trying to think of Tim Duncan is another good example of someone who's just stoic. And these emotions, not only frustration or anger, but I mean, even positive emotions. I mean, these are all obvious stuff I'm talking about, but it's worth just kind of drilling into our brains that these negative emotions are going to lower brain function. So if we can train ourselves to be like Phil, or if you don't want to be like Phil, to be stoic and zen, it's gonna it's gonna benefit you just so much. So why don't we do that? Come on, guys, let's. And not only that, it's gonna make the game so much funner, dude. Like, especially a game like poker, which is just impossible to like dominate, for any lengthy amount of time, because you're gonna have losing days. Like if you're fucking Michael Jordan, I mean, you're gonna win like 82 games in a season and win the championship, and it's just gonna be a breeze, and you're just never gonna be unhappy. You're just gonna that was fun. Like it's basketball. You can dominate like that. There's not so much luck involved. But even in basketball, I mean, obviously that's an anomaly. Chess. If you're just the world's best chess player, you're just gonna win. You're never gonna have bad days, and there's no RNG. RNG, if you don't know what RNG is, I'm not sure what it stands for. I think it means run good. I know they use it in the video game world, and in poker we just call it variance. But a lot of games have these, luck factors that are just out of your hands. So the best players win in the long run, not the short run. Like it's just a lot of things, factors are out of your control, and sometimes a bounce of the ball or a flip of the coin can determine the outcome of a game. So you're gonna be pissed off sometimes if you lose. We need to not get pissed off when we lose. You're gonna just have an unhappy life. You're not gonna maximize your life happiness. And so, like for myself, I love competing, but I hate losing. Those two things, they don't go well together, because you're gonna lose. So what can we do to improve our happiness? And when we improve our happiness, we also improve our game. Those two things go hand in hand. Those two things go together. And it's such like an epiphany, like when we realize this, yet where's the epiphany to do it, to execute this? So let's think and talk about how can we be like Phil, or just manage these emotions so where even when we lose, we're still happy. And I don't know what, it's probably different for everybody. For me, I haven't found something that works, but I'm experimenting, and I just hate losing. There's like, and I don't know how, I haven't solved this equation yet. Maybe you guys have advice for me. Please leave in the comment section some advice on what works for you, and I can experiment with those. What I experimented with last night, and it helps, it helped me last night, is, excuse me, is just saying I don't give a fuck if I win or lose, and that kind of helped me just stay even keeled, not get too high or too low. I kept telling myself like I don't give a fuck if I win or lose, and that also allowed me to make some bluffs. That I maybe man up and make some bluffs. Actually, there was one bluff where I kind of manned down, which was probably a bluff spot, but I manned down. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, give me some advice, guys. Usually I got the advice for you after years of competition, but this is one I'm still figuring out. And I think it has a lot to do with your personality. And I'm not quite sure. I'm still trying to think of like what can we do to just stay like Phil does. How does he stay so zen like that? When things aren't going his way, he's just like, yes, okay, and we're going to fold here. He's likely to have this range of hands, and I don't think he's bluffing because X, Y, and Z, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, you just folded like the nut flush. And he was right. It was like incredible. And I was just like, dude, I'd be raging. I would just call that the action, okay, I don't want to get into the details of the hand, but it was just incredible. And he just, the whole time I'm just watching him just stay so, Anyways, I'm rambling here. Give me some advice, guys. Please help me out. What is your way to stay calm? And do you have short-term advice, like on a short-term scale on how to manage these emotions? Do you have a long-term way to manage these emotions? Let me know. And don't forget, not only the lows you need to manage, but the highs you need to manage as well. This is also very important. I just want to add this tidbit in there. Don't forget to manage the highs. Don't get too excited. When I see people scream after like a dunk, you're having a massive adrenaline dump right there, and yeah, you're gonna lower that peak. But if you ride that wave a little bit, just kind of try to let it boost your confidence, but don't get overconfident or cocky. And like, oh, that's so obvious. Yet professional players, you see them do it all the time. The celebratory like scream after a dunk, and it's I think that's just so bad. It does have the benefit of a little demoralization of your opponent, I'm sure. However, it could also pique your opponent's focus. I think the cons of that scream outweigh the pros of that scream immensely. I know all these things you may think, oh, these don't matter. They don't matter. They're little details that, like, what matters is your practice, the practicing your jump shot in the gym and your hours and hours of working out above your opponent. Sure, that definitely matters more. Absolutely, that matters way more. If you don't practice, your jump shot and your squats, your deadlifts, and your strength training, and your ball handling drills, and all this shit, if you don't practice that, sure, that shit matters way more. Sure, of course. But what about when you and your opponent have both done that? What about then? Well, who's done it more? Well, what if you've done it more because you want it more? But what if he's just naturally gifted more? Where are your edges gonna come from, man? You need to look for every fucking edge you can. Every edge you can. And you know where I learned this from is poker. Because poker, the edges are so slim. Like, it's so hard to get an edge on your opponent in poker because everybody starts off with 2 cards. Everybody, man, woman, fucking paralyzed. It doesn't fucking matter. So you gotta be smart in your opponent. Sure. Well, your opponent's smart too. You're smart. Now where does the edge come from? The casino is making money now. If you and your opponent are like the same skill. Well, you're not making any money. You gotta squeak out every edge in poker. Like, you have to find every edge. So it's down to the fucking chair. Oh, I'm able to be more comfortable because for hours on end because my chair is more comfortable than my opponent's. And now I'm squeaking out a little profit because my opponent is just like, his happiness level is a little lower because he's not as comfortable. So he's making slightly micro less decisions because he's distracted occasionally, and like these micro edges, they all add up. So does that like little scream after a dunk. It had an adrenaline dump happens, and your focus is now peaked and now tapered off after this scream because of the adrenaline dump. While your opponent is like, he fucking got me. And now your opponent's locked in. I gotta beat him. And now your opponent's locked in. You see what you just did there? Now you dunk, and let's look at scenario B. Now you dunk, you don't say anything, and you're thinking, now instead, this is what you should do after you dunk. Boom, dunk. I gotta get on defense. Where's my opponent at? What's he gonna do? What kind of opponent is he? What are his tendencies? Where are the rest of the players in the court? What are they doing? What are their tendencies? Where's there a gap in the defense? Where's my rotation? Etc., etc. You shouldn't be thinking, I'm fucking awesome. It's so obvious, guys. It's so obvious. Yet this is NBA professional level players making this mistake. It's not a blunder, no. It's not a blunder. It's not like you fucking airballed, making a mistake airballing. Yet it's a clear-cut, obvious, easy-to-fix mistake. Yet NBA level players are doing this. And what are their coaches doing? Where are their coaches in this? This is why I've said this years ago, and my friend scoffed at me, and I stand by it to this day. I could be a better coach than some NBA coaches. He thinks I'm crazy. And, maybe I am. But I also think there's some strategists out there like they don't even play basketball, yet they understand game theory and game game psychology, like competitor psychology. They understand it better than someone like fucking Hubie Brown or fucking like Hubie Brown is so old and washed up. I'm sorry, dude. He's like that. See that? That's a layup. That's not the guy I'm trying to think of though. I'm trying to think of Lionel Hollins. Like, dude, I watched him play. Like, I watched him coach, and I'm just like, oh my god, this guy is just like. I don't want to get into detail. I don't want to go on a tangent about him, but yeah, no. I know a lot of people probably like him or whatever, but I'm not a fan. Someone like Popovich, I think, has got a lot of it down. Obviously. hey, look at his results. And I'm on board. And you don't see his players screaming. Look at Tim Duncan. Didn't I use him as an example? Kawhi Leonard, I used him as an example earlier. Well, obviously I'm on board with the Spurs then. I guess that kind of goes without saying. If I was kind of, on that train earlier. But I'm all about that, dude. And I've given my reasons why. Okay, I think that's it for today, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.